American economics is easy. It consists of trade tariffs, national banking, and national infrastructure. Protective trade tariffs. We protect our land just like we protect ourselves in a fight. We don't let people punch us in the face. We don't let people steal from us or our families. We don't let corporations steal from us. We don't let corporations take away our standard of living. We don't let corporations take away our free speech. We don't let corporations take away our health care. We don't let corporations rule our American lands. We protect our economy to protect ourselves. We do this with a protective trade tariff. If an American-owned Chinese company wants to sell its products in the United States, that American-owned Chinese company is going to have to compensate the American government with a tax that is equal to the cost ratio of the labor used in the production of that product. So we impose a tariff to balance the trade and equal the cost ratio. If the consumer wants a slave-made pair of pliers from China, the pliers will cost just as much as the American set of pliers. The tariff imposes an equal and fair trade system of economics. We are Americans. We do not believe in slavery. By allowing slave-made products to compete in our marketplace, we are physically agreeing with the idea of slavery while lowering our standard of living to a slave economy. Greed is not good. National banking is number 2. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution is where it is written that gives the United States the legal right to create a national bank. The United States has had several national banks in its history. Washington, Lincoln, FDR are some of the presidents that instituted and used a national bank to create cheap credit for the government to use to develop infrastructure and use for its citizens to negotiate a better interest rate with private banks. A private central bank, like what the United States has today with the Fed, the U.S. government is being held hostage financially by the bank and its board of directors. The government must ask the bank's permission to get loans. The bank is private and has the right to blackmail or negotiate any deal it sees fit with the U.S. government. The British financial empire doesn't have to use the British Army to control a foreign country or government when the empire controls the government's currency. The currency controls the government, and the people are controlled by the money that is loaned to the government by the bank. 3. National investment in infrastructure to promote commerce within the borders of the United States. National infrastructure, not private infrastructure. Public education, not education for just those who can afford it. National state roads and bridges, not tollways. This is also in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. The rich are always looking for a good investment to keep themselves from working like regular folks. Rich folks can buy infrastructure that people are forced to use because of location or lack of transportation. That is a good investment. If rich folks can get poor folks to pay for the construction of the tollway or the energy company, that is even a better investment. The person gets a free company to run that was paid for by the taxpayers. This reflects British free trade and the model. This is called buying cheap and selling dear. This is how the European monarchs stay in power and stay wealthy, by financing their personal business ventures with monies collected through taxation. American economics is easy. It's 1, trade tariffs to protect your economy. 2, national banking to free yourself from the financial binds of empire. 3, national infrastructure to protect trade and to promote mobility within your government. The reason why the Chinese economy has done so well over the past 50 years is because the Chinese are using the old American system of political economy as their economic foundation, not British free trade. Free trade is not American, it's British. Do not listen to Ron Paul. The Austrian school of economics has never and will never work. There is a reason why the Austrian Empire is no longer in existence, the Habsburg Empire, and it is because their system of economics is a failure. Free trade, free enterprise, and free markets are one in the same, and they are British, not American. Alexander Hamilton, Ben Franklin threw British free trade tea over the bow of the East India ship in the Boston Harbor and called it the Boston Tea Party. The British East India Company was dumping slave-made tea on American markets, putting American farmers out of business. We live in the USA. We can't afford to live with slave wages. So the United States formed a protective trade tariff that protected them, that taxed the East India Company for dumping slave-made goods in our marketplace. With British free trade, governments are under rule of the banks. The banks are owned by the monarchs, who elect a board of directors to run the bank. Governments are not allowed to build infrastructure without asking the bank's permission. These banks also invest in business ventures in which may or may not be legal, and such as opium, slavery, pharmaceuticals, military industrial, prisons, and whatever makes the most money in the shortest amount of time. You see, banks run the government under a free trade system. The government must oblige the banks of their businesses, no matter what the people say who live in a country that is run on a free trade system. The corporation decides. The United States is our country. Our country is what we need to protect and develop. The American system of political economy provides its citizens opportunities to develop over a free trade system by offering cheap credit from its bank. The American system offers citizens national infrastructure for cheap and easy mobility of goods and services to raise the standard of living for the people. The American system protects its citizens' scientific discoveries and labor with its government, because the individual citizen, no matter how strong, is not strong enough to defend himself against empire. British free trade uses man as another type of animal to profit from by creating financial instruments that chain man to steal his profits made by the sweat of his brow. Free trade takes advantage of its power over government to create monopolies which enslave mankind. Free trade must use stolen resources and slave labor in order to maintain profits for its existence. The U.S. government has been under British control since Harry Truman and has killed 13 million people in 84 unconstitutional foreign military conflicts, strong-arming foreigners into handing over their natural resources while creating an environment for slavery to thrive. It's cheap labor. The American system does not need to steal anyone's resources. The American system finances the development of its own resources to sell on the open market under U.S. fair trade policies. British free trade is not American. American system is trade tariffs, national banking, and national infrastructure. That's the news. I'm John Wright. Thank you for your time and have a great day.